Hello again, fellow BeachBum traders. Thank you for joining us for part 2 of our weekly trading game plan for the trading week of January 16th through January 20th. And in part 2 of our weekly trading game plan, we will be selecting our top swing trading stocks to watch, to put on our watch list and our bullpen and our shopping list, etc. We'll also talk about some additional trade ideas, trading strategies, etc. So please stick around to the end of the video. And again, we'll talk about additional trade ideas, trade strategies, etc., about how to make money in the current market and in any market, as is our objective. And again, we'll get started selecting our top swing trading stocks to watch for the trading week of January 16th through January 20th. Thank you for joining us for our live stream today. I see Ali in the Bay, the Ricky Khan, Walter Lyons. Thank you all for joining us. Glad to see you. Hope you're having a good weekend. Just a quick reminder, we've got a long weekend as the markets are closed on Monday, the 16th, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So again, we have a long weekend, relax, recharge, spend time with family, friends, etc. And we'll actually kick off the trading week on Tuesday, the 17th. So here's our Google document with our notes for part 2 of our weekly trading game plan. Again, these are publicly accessible. You should be able to find a link in the description box below with a link to our Google document. We keep our notes for our weekly trading game plans in a publicly accessible Google Drive folder. And you can also find a link to that Google Drive folder in the description box below. So our notes contain links to bonus videos, the tools we use for our market analysis and selecting our top swing trading stocks to watch, etc. So again, you should be able to find links to our notes in the description box below for future reference. If you haven't already seen part 1 of our weekly trading game plan for this week, titled The January Effect 2023, we would highly recommend you view part 1, as it has all our market analysis. We looked at the markets, analyzed the markets from last week and going forward. We talked about the January effect and whether we're going to see a historical January effect this year and what that may mean in terms of making money trading in the current environment. So firstly, I'll quickly review just a couple of the trades we made last week. We made several options trades, and then we'll talk about also our trading on the volatility going into the CPI and some of the other catalysts, etc. So firstly, we closed out our options trade, our cash secured put. We bought back the cash secured put. We sold on Amazon at the 81 strike price, January expiration. So we'd sold it on the 19th of December at $2.55. We bought it back for 5 cents. So we got a net premium profit of $2.50. So congratulations to all of our other fellow BeachBum traders who profited from this cash secured put scalp trade in Amazon. Similarly, we had sold the cash secured put against Disney at 85 strike price for January back on December 16th at 203. Bought that back at 4 cents for $1.99 net premium profit. So again, we've been talking about the evolution of our trading strategy. We'll talk about this further towards the end of the video, how we're evolving into additional option strategies to generate additional income, particularly in this choppy market. So again, we'll share with you where we're at with those strategies as well. Also, I sold a covered call against our long position in cold. We've been long cold, which is the short on natural gas. For some time, we had sold the covered call several times, made profit. Again, this is a way to kind of generate your own self-generated dividends on these positions while you hold them longer term, wait for them to become profitable again. So we'll try to buy that back cheaper. Again, if natural gas continues to chop up and down, we'll continue to generate our own self-generated dividends by selling covered calls against coal when it goes up, buying them back when it comes down. We also have a position in BOIL, which is the long on natural gas, and so we can do this going both ways. On any given day, one or the other's going up, so there might be an opportunity to sell or buy back options, and again, generate our own self-generated dividends by doing this. The other major trade we made this week, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday in our strategy and in the past couple weeks in terms of trading volatility, is I went long on the UVXY, which is the long on the VIX. It's a leveraged ETF on the VIX, and I wanted to get into that before the CPI read on the 12th. I was kind of hoping to get it cheaper. I had a lower buy sitting there while I was away from the desk on, I guess that was Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. It didn't hit, and so I could see there was kind of a floor price around $6 in the level twos. So I went ahead and bought it at 601 on the 11th. CPI read didn't really cause a lot of volatility, and we talked about yesterday how, in my opinion, we saw a major unwind in the VIX, and it's declined significantly from there. However, I want to hold this long volatility, long VIX position going into some of the other potential volatility catalysts we've got coming up. We've got PPI coming up next week, and then at the end of the month, we've got the Fed interest rate decision. So unless I can scalp this for a profit and get in cheaper, I'm probably going to hold this going into the Fed interest rate decision and see if we can get a pop in the VIX and I can make a decent profit in this long in UVXY. So I'll jump over in a second to Webull, and we'll look at this actual trade in UVXY, what that looks like. Just a quick reminder, if you'd like to get real-time trade alerts whenever we make a trade, get stopped out of a trade, etc., we try to post those. Our Patreons get email notifications as soon as I can post them to our Patreon, and then they also get posted in alerts channels in our Discord that our Patreon members have access to. So we have a couple alerts channels. If it's we have automatically generated thinkorswim price target alerts as well, and when those get triggered, they get automatically posted to the thinkorswim alerts channel in our Discord. And then if I follow that up with a trade, I will post the follow-up in that channel. You can also see when we get stopped out of a trade, I'll post that in the appropriate channel. And if it's not directly related to a thinkorswim alert, like here's when I bought back the cash secured put on Disney, then I'll post that in the trade alerts channel. So again, if you would find it helpful to get real-time alerts of what we're trading, you can get that via our Patreon by joining our Patreon. Again, I never recommend that anyone blindly follow us or anyone else into a trade, but if you find it helpful to see what we're trading and the timing of that, then again, you can get those alerts by joining our Patreon. So if we quickly look at this UVXY trade, again, I got in on the 11th. Prior to CPI, you can see they started to run it up early. I was a bit of a FOMO just because I was concerned that they would start running the VIX up going into CPI. So I got in after hours, at 6:01. We see that's right above that pivot point. Then the CPI, there was a very brief initial spike. I think it went up to about 6:15 very briefly, and then declined from there. We could see the nature of the UVXY, again, we've talked about this for several weeks, is it's going to continue to decline even if the VIX stays relatively stable, just because of the deterioration of a leveraged ETF. So again, I'm just going to hold that going into the volatility events. Again, we got PPI, then we've got the Fed interest rate decision. We might get some volatility around this debt ceiling thing, and also with some of the earnings. Again, if I can scalp it at a profit and get it cheaper, I'll do that. But otherwise, like I said, I think the Fed interest rate decision is going to be the major volatility event. And again, it was interesting to see. It looked like a significant unwind of people that were, betting on volatility going into the CPI event. Didn't happen. Then I think we saw a major unwind coming out of that CPI read. Welcome, Ellen Krantz, Tony Rosas. Thank you for joining us. Glad to see you all as well. Alan says he didn't get a notification bell on YouTube. Yeah, I've noticed in the past, even though you have notifications turned on, sometimes YouTube doesn't send them out. So I appreciate you keeping an eye on, our regularly scheduled shows, our channel, etc. Just in case you don't get the bell notification. Also, you want to make sure you have all notifications selected. But again, I've seen that in the past. Ollie in the Bay says the Patreon alerts are great. I'm glad that you're, finding value in it. Yeah, it's, we're keeping our Patreon membership very cheap, trying to add value for you all as best we can. So again, our goal is to help everyone succeed and make money in your trading career. That's why we're here. So let me grab a drink and then we'll talk about some of our watch list updates to our real-time watch list. Again, our primary watch list is the stocks that we're watching real time. We have some automation that runs against these and notifies me of price movements, etc. So we'll look at that in a second. And welcome, Nugem. So Nugem, slide into the chat. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. So first, just a quick updates to our watch list, and then we'll go in Webull and we'll look at charts of the ones remaining. Quite a few were taking off. We had the run up, the CPI exuberant rally towards the end of the week, and a number of these have run up, so we'll take them off. If they come back down, can always add them back into our bullpen or into our watch list when appropriate. So FCAP, we've been watching this low float, somewhat illiquid regional bank for a while. We didn't. I was trying to buy it. I had an order sitting out there. It never hit, and now it looks like it's run up, run away. So I'm not going to chase it. It's again pretty choppy, hard to catch. We've tried to catch it a couple times. I do have a bonus due diligence video that you can watch via this link in the notes if you want to know my thesis behind why we're watching First Capital FCAP. And again, if it comes back down, we'll take another shot at it. One of the main ones we'll talk about, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and then again, we'll look at it in our ETF spreadsheet as well as LABD, which is the leveraged inverse ETF on biotech. You'll see both of the ones that I'm watching have to do with the exuberant run-up in technology, specifically biotech and semiconductors, as we'll see in a second. So one note with these, a lot of these leveraged ETFs is it's often hard to see the bottom in the bear ETF because you don't really know where the bottom is because they continue to decline even though there's not a major change in the underlying. So I tend to watch these pair inverses. So to find the bottom on LABD, what you can look for is the top on LabU, which is the long on biotech. When that peaks and rolls over, that's a good indicator that you're seeing a bottom in LabU. And again, this is true of all of these, particularly the leveraged ETFs, these pairs, as often it's easier to watch for the top in the long version to find the bottom in the short version. So I hope that helps. We're going to take MP Materials off again. It ran up, ran away. We'll see if it comes back down. I do have, again, a due diligence video you can see on MP Materials if you're interested in our thesis behind MP Materials. The other one, again, that we're going to watch particularly this week is SOXS, which is, again, the bear leveraged inverse ETF on semiconductors. Again, they ran semiconductors up with technology, and we've been talking about semiconductors for a while. The guidance is poor. TSM actually cut their capex recently due to, demand, decreasing demand, oversupply. So again, I think there's quite a few catalysts, but they do tend to run biotech and semiconductors up generally with technology, and I think that's where the opportunity is when they're running them up. Even though there are, negative catalysts, I think, in both of those areas. So I think there's opportunities in both biotech and semiconductors to go short when they peak. Again, the inverse of SOXS S is SOXS L. And so I'll be watching for a top in SOXS L to trigger an entry point bottom in SOXS S. We're going to take USOI off, which is a disappointment. I really wanted to get a chunk of that going into its ex-dividend date, but they've run oil up to 80 again. I'm going to wait, and we can watch USOI via our ETF Google sheet and just wait for oil to come back down to at least below 75, if not back to 70. That's where I would be looking at buying a big chunk of USOI again. And again, I can watch that via the oil price. I don't need to watch it real time. And when oil gets back down below 75, then I'll be looking again to buy a chunk of USOI. And it's a monthly dividend payer, so we can get in at any point that oil drops down there. So talked about UVXY. We've been watching for, an opportunity to get into UVXY, and we got in. Now, again, as we looked at in Webull, if you're not already in UVXY, you can probably get it cheaper. Just, looking for a bottom when the VIX finally bottoms, and if it starts to turn up. And again, you might want to get in prior to one of the volatility events, particularly if they start to run it back up. So I think you can get a better opportunity in UVXY than even we got due to the VIX rapidly deteriorating lately. So again, if we make changes intra-week or even intraday to our watch list, our Patreons have access to a daily automatically generated web page that has our watch list, price targets, and now also, as you'll see, we made some enhancements recently to that automatically generated watch list web page. It now includes dividend information for dividend payers, including the ex-dividend date, the dividend amount, and the percent yield, and whether or not the symbol is optionable. So that information is now also included in the automatically generated watch list web page. And again, you can get access to that via our Patreon. We also have a watch list channel where if I happen to make any changes during the day or during, pre-market, etc., as you'll see on the 4th, I added several to our bullpen at that time, pre-market, or I think it was pre-market. Yeah, 5 a.m. So I was up early, saw some additional opportunities after that web page had been generated, so I posted them in our watch list channel. So again, if you'd like to get intra-week updates or even intraday updates to our watch list, you can get access to all that via our Patreon as well. So just a quick reminder, we'll jump over to Webull. We'll look at the charts for our watch list. Welcome, Flip of the Shippa. Glad to see you. I think I said good morning to Ellen Krantz, but good morning again. Just a quick reminder, if you're not already using Webull, they're still offering 12 free stocks, each worth from $3,000 to $3,000. As you see, we use Webull for our market analysis, for our due diligence. We do the majority of our trading in Webull. We we very much like the 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. trading hours. Again, there's opportunities, as we'll see in some of these leveraged ETFs or in ETFs in general. Sometimes they're rebalanced, recalculated at or near 4 a.m. and that opens up some unique opportunities so that we can take advantage of with Webull. So again, if you just open an account, you get 2 free stocks. If you deposit at least $100, you get up to 10 more free stocks. And again, they're worth $3,000 to $3,000 each. So if you're not already using Webull, we would highly recommend it. And again, it's a primary trading platform that we use. And if you, we would appreciate if you use our referral link in the description box below. So again, we hope that helps. Okay, so again, we just, all that's left right now in our primary real-time watch list are the 2 leveraged inverse ETFs. We've got LABD. Again, I'll flip over and show you LabU as well. So you see it's recently declined quite a bit. If I look at the 1 year, it's, it's at a 52-week low, but again, that's the nature of the ETFs are going to continue to decline. So a lot of times it's easier to look for the top in LabU. So we'll look at that quickly. So you see LabU it's right at a pivot point. It looks like it's going to break out. The longer term high is all the way up at 13. So LabU's got some room to run. If we zoom in a little bit, again, it reached a recent high. So again, it's kind of at an extreme high, and that's why I think there's an opportunity on the short side. But again, it's got some room to run. It's on an upward trend, so we just want to see it peak and roll over, and that would be our indication that it's time to go long in LabD, which again is the short on biotech. So very similarly with SOXS, you see where its most recent low was. It's been declining. It's got some room to come down yet. So my initial indication would be, the previous low. But again, if we look at SOXL, which is the long on semiconductors, see it's got some room. It's close. It's closer to its high than LabU was, and it's sitting at that pivot point. So if it breaks out and goes to the recent highs somewhere, in this, let's see, that was 1415 or so, 1486, 1439 or so. So you see that resistance line. So somewhere in the low 14s, if SOXL gets up there, there's a good chance it's going to bounce back down. So that would again be my indication to go long into SOXS would be that SOXL had peaked and rolled over. Okay, so let me grab a drink and we'll look at our bullpen stocks. Yeah, I saw your question, Alan, about the U.S. Saying they would buy oil below 80 to refill the SPR, and yeah, that's true. I believe Biden said 75 or below, so I believe that's part of what is providing a floor in oil. However, I did hear in Easy Mike, who was here yesterday, who I chat with quite a bit, had mentioned they put out bids to refill the SPR, and all those bids were rejected. Now, I don't know at what price they put those bids out, so I don't know, but I'm guessing, somewhere around that 75 area, but they were again rejected, so they still need to be refilling the SPR at some price. So yeah, that will provide a floor in oil. So I don't, I don't think it's going to go below 70. Might not go below 75 real soon. Okay, so for anybody that's kind of new to our community, the concept of bullpen stocks are ones that we're not watching real time during the day, but at the end of the day, I go back and revisit, look at their setup. They're ones that look like they might provide an attractive setup in the near term. And again, at the end of the day, I'll revisit them, spin through the bullpen stock watch list, and see if their setup's improved. If so, we'll put them in the game, move them up to our real-time watch list. If they've broken down or run away, we'll just take them off of our bullpen. They'll still be in our database. We'll still pick them back up if their setup improves at some future point. So we've been watching this BOSC, Better Online Solutions, for a little while. As we'll see, it's not quite where I'd like it, but we're continuing to watch in our bullpen. I'm going to take Intel off. As we were just talking, they've run semiconductors up, so they run Intel up a bit. If it does come back down, we'll take a look at Intel again. Palladium we've been watching for a while. Again, it's run up a little bit. We'll see if it comes down. EchoStar we're going to take off again. They've run a lot of these technology stocks back up. You can see our due diligence video on EchoStar Sats, and we were kind of trying to catch an opportunity with Sats due to that Maxar buyout, but it's already run up. I'm not going to chase it. Same thing with Seagate. Again, Seagate's a technology. It's a data storage, more related to data storage. And again, they've run all these things up right now. Again, I've got a due diligence video on Seagate that you can hear, longer term views on Seagate. Again, we talked, they had this exuberant run up in technology. When that unwinds, when the treasuries go back over 4 and interest rates keep going up and technology comes back down, then all of these might again be opportunities. So we'll see. One semiconductor we're going to keep in our bullpen is this TRT. It's a small cap, low float. They appear to be profitable. I probably should do a due diligence video on them, but it is a semiconductor that we might get an opportunity. UROY. It's a uranium play we've been watching for a while. It seems to be the cheapest right now. It's one we've swung before profitably, among others. If they do cycle out, sector rotate out of uranium or out of energy as a whole and push uranium back down, UROY is one we might try to scoop up. Yeah, Flippa, we have SOXS on our watch list, and we just went through SOXS. Yes, that's one that we're looking for an opportunity. Yep. And we're going to take this Zedge. Again, this is a software company, ran up with tech, so we're not going to chase any of those guys. Same thing. If they run technology back down, then maybe we'll have an opportunity in some of these again. But we'll take them off for now. No reason to watch them right now. So if I look at my bullpen stocks, my remaining bullpen stocks in Webull, here's BOSC. You can see it never has come quite down to where I wanted, although that bottom I probably could have taken it when it bottomed recently, but you see it's got some downside. I'd like it cheaper. Palladium, again, I'd really like it down in this 140 area, as we'll see in the spreadsheet. To get a 2-to-1 risk reward, I'd really like it down in that 140 area. That's a longer term support area. TRT, the semiconductor, again, it dipped and then got run up with technology. We'll see if it dips back down to this previous low. And UROY, I really like it around 210. Again, it got kind of run up recently with uranium as they rotated back in, but you can see what a nice swing this guy is. He cycles down. When he gets down to that 210, he runs up, and then he bottoms, he runs up. So I really like those ones that cycle like that. Hello again, Walter Lyons. Okay, so we're going to look at our ETF, Google spreadsheet in a second, or Google Sheet in a second, but I wanted to respond to a comment that Alan Krentz had mentioned, both JEPQ and JEPI in the live chat of last week's live stream. So I believe I had JEPI in our database already, just not in the Google Sheet, and I added JEPQ to our database and our spreadsheet, so you can see the dividend is pretty nice on JEPQ and also on JEPI. I think they both pay monthly. We'll see. I'll look at them in Webull a second, and we should be able to see that. So again, both of these pay a nice dividend. We can see what their price appreciation risk reward profiles look like relative. JEPQ is on the NASDAQ, and JEPI is on the S&P. So I added those to those categories in our Google Sheet. Yeah, and Alan says they're both monthly. Good. Now, JEPI, I noted is optionable, whereas JEPQ is not optionable. So for JEPI, you could also sell covered calls against that position, generate additional dividends for yourself by holding it and selling covered calls. So I'll jump over. We'll look at JEPQ and JEPI quickly, but I'll also open our Google Sheet with all of our ETF information. And just a reminder, our Patreon members have access to this Google Sheet 24/7. So again, you'll see these prices get updated. It's not necessarily real time, but if you're looking for an ETF to play on a particular index, commodity, etc., like we just talked about with the NASDAQ and S&P, they're included in this Google Sheet. And we can track opportunities that way as well. So let me just quickly look at JEPI. It didn't bring up the right one. JEPI. And I'm going to also add this guy to my ETF watch list in Webull. So for the year, we see it's pretty high. So if you're looking, for price appreciation, it's relatively high right now. If you're just buying it for the dividend, then you could just buy it for the dividend. But again, it's relatively high. Doesn't have a lot of range, but it's got significant downside, and that's on the JEPI's on the S&P. So it's riding with where the S&P is currently. Its bottom looks like it was the end of 2022. It's when it bottomed. JEPQ, and again, I'll add that to our ETF watch list in Webull. So it's not quite as high, so it's got some upside appreciation, maybe $5 appreciation upside, maybe $5 down, so it's kind of sitting in the middle of its range. So we can see It's got, monthly dividends. It's paying the last ex-dividend here was $12.29. Looks like it pays, pretty much at the end or at the beginning of each month. Again, nice thing in Webull, as you can see, is if you bring up the chart, you can see when the ex-dividend dates are, what the last dividend amount is. Looks like they both pay, the beginning of the month in each case. So I hope that helps. Okay, if anyone else has any other categories that we haven't already talked about that you want to look at in the Google Sheet, our ETF Google Sheet, just throw them in the chat. I'll zoom this in a little bit. It looks a little small there. So we talked about biotech. So here's, LabU. Where's LabD? So you can see the support level about 1230. So it's or the 52-week low is 1342. So it's a little bit above, the support level. LabU currently at 8. And you're welcome, Alan. Thank you for pointing those out. They're very helpful. We'll talk about dividends towards the end if I have time. And comparing, at some point we can compare the dividends of JEPI and JEPQ to other dividend options. Welcome, Kyle. Thank you for joining us. We've been talking about China too. Again, another pair, day trading type pair. You could trade as yin and yang. Yin is long China, yang is short China. Again, you can always day trade, biotech, LabU, LabD as well. We're looking at it per swing. See where palladium, NASDAQ. We've talked about cold and boil, natural gas. The oil versions of those is gush and drip. Currently, we are long drip, which means we're short oil for a longer term swing. So here's JPQ. You see a risk reward of price appreciation is not significant. So again, if you're looking to buy it right now, it would be more for the dividend. Here's cold and boil. Here's drip and gush. Here's PALL. So you can see I'd prefer it down at 143 so I can get the 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio I'd like. Otherwise, right now it's just not showing the type of risk reward that I'd like to see. So here's JEPI. So again, price appreciation wise, it's not the 2-to-1 that I would like to see. You can compare it to like BOO. BOO has a little bit better price appreciation. We tend to like VTI, which is the total market. All of these are a little bit high right now. You can see it's at 200. I'd really like it down, around 174, 175. We've been talking about treasuries. We're long TMF. We're selling covered calls against our position in TMF. Again, we expect prices to come down a bit, yields to go up a bit because of the Fed interest rate hikes. So again, treasuries need to compete with the Fed interest rate. Talk about Vietnam. Here's UVXY. We've seen that. The inverse of UVXY to short the VIX is SVXY. Again, plenty of opportunities for day trading. If you're nimble, you need to be quick. A lot of these day trade pairs can move pretty quickly, so you have to be nimble, but there's plenty of opportunities to make money day trading these guys. So does anyone else have any other categories you want to look at in the ETF spreadsheet? Or we can start talking strategies and I can try to answer some questions in the time we have remaining. So I'm going to look at semiconductors just real quickly. And Kyle, I see you're talking about coding courses on Coursera. If you ever want to chat about coding sometime privately, just ping me. You know, I've been coding for a long time. I have to remember, probably 30, 40 years. So just an FYI, as I mentioned, some of these prices here are updated via Google Finance. So the price, the low, high, percent change, and the 52-week low and high are based on Google Finance functions. The support and resistance and top and bottom numbers are pulled via automation, which happens to be some code that I wrote that pulls this data at the end of the day out of our database and updates this Google Sheet via the Google Finance API to these Google Sheets. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to knowing how to code. You can automate your work, automate away your work, and I've been a big proponent of that for a very long time. So I'm lazy, so I want to automate as much as I possibly can. So here's SOXS and SOXL. So again, we talked about, you know, here's the peak on resistance point on SOXL. It's about 22.26. So it's got some room. Got support and SOXS at about 25.22. So again, these have some room to move, but we want to watch them in case we get an opportunity. If they go through one of these exuberant runs on tech and they push biotech and semiconductors up with the rest of tech, it may give us a nice opportunity in both of LABD and SOXS. Okay, so if nobody's got any other categories, we'll jump over and we'll talk shopping lists real quickly. Again, we talked about the January effect for 2023 yesterday in part 1. So again, I'd recommend that you review that in terms of, you know, what is the January. In this video explains what the January effect is, what's its historical significance, its historical basis, what does it mean, and, you know, position your shopping list accordingly. Also, we talked yesterday, you're still in the window for the wash sale rule. So if you did tax loss harvest anything the end of last year, make sure you don't invalidate your tax loss harvesting by violating the wash sale rule. So we otherwise, you know, our shopping list are stocks you always wanted to buy, just waiting for a good opportunity. And then we just recommend that you know, filter or cull that list based on, you know, the current economic conditions, current and near future economic conditions. You know, we're still potentially going into a recession. We still have high inflation, although, you know, the rate of inflation is slowly going down. We do expect interest rates to continue to go up. Where they go up 25 basis points or 50 at the end of this month is yet to be seen, but it's going to keep going up. They're still projecting a terminal rate between 5 and maybe 5.4%. So make sure anything you're buying is inflation proof, recession proof, and will do well with rising interest rates. Also, we've been warning for a while. This is an ongoing saga. There's additional ripple effects with the FTX bankruptcy. We don't want to see anyone get hurt in the fallout from all of that. So again, filter your shopping list based on all of that. And then, if you get an opportunity to buy things you wanted to, those are the things you want to have on your shopping list to take advantage of opportunities when they arise. Yes, Walter Lyons, I've been using ChatGPT too to write some C# code. So yeah, it's slick. Saves an enormous amount of time. I'll probably be coming out with some videos on our other channel, the Virtual Consulting 101 channel. It's where I talk more about automation and coding and things like that. And I'll probably be doing some on ChatGPT soon. So let's talk about some trade ideas. I'm probably going to jump forward and answer questions. But we've been talking about this, our evolution of our option strategy, how we're, selling and buying back covered calls, as well as now cash secured puts. We think this is a good trading strategy to make money, additional income in choppy markets. So again, we're evolving that strategy. I am doing research on what's called the option wheel strategy. And I'll be coming out with a series of videos with what I'm learning in all of these areas to help share that what I learned with you all for your benefit as well. So again, we'll be coming out with videos on the wheel strategy and some of these other topics. We did recently release episode 2 in our option strategies for beginners, so you can see that. I've got the link to that below. So you see, we try to evolve our strategy relative to cash secured puts. You can see some of the pros and cons, additional information. I'm also trying to explore this ROI seller tool in more detail. And again, you can find a link to the ROI seller tool on our homepage, which is beachbumtrading.com, bum without the U. So if I find that link under the link section, again, I've been looking at that, trying to see how I can use that to figure out what options or what stocks I might want to sell cash secured puts against, and I'm trying to evolve our criteria. Now, I talked about this quite a bit yesterday, so I'm going to jump ahead, but if you do have some input on how to determine the best stocks against which to sell a cash secured put, please post that as a comment below this video and or in our options channel in our Discord. Our Discord is free to join, so you can find a link to our Discord in the description box below as well. And we hope you will join us, and you can continue the chat, the nice chat y'all are having in the live chat. We can chat all the time in our free Discord, so please join us in the free Discord. Again, you can find the link to our free Discord in the description box below, and we can continue these conversations. And again, I'd appreciate your input into these questions regarding options. So if you have any knowledge, experience in those areas, please reply to this video and or in our Discord. Also, if you all are interested in an additional section to our automatically generated watch list webpage relative to what I find in terms of looking at cash secured puts, I'd love your input as to whether you'd find that to be of additional value. As I mentioned, we just released episode 2 in Option Strategies for Beginners. Episode 1 we released previously, so you can see how I'm using Webull and our database and some of our automation to get started in these areas. Also, we have other videos in our options playlist have to do with how to trade options in various trading platforms and how sometimes selling covered calls can be a double-edged sword, which we talked about a little bit last week as well. So I want to answer Ellen's questions, and if anyone else has any other questions, let me grab a drink and then we'll wrap up. So I think it was last week, and Ellen can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last week in the live chat he asked about which indicators do you use. So I just wanted to respond in relative to the indicators that I use in the primary platforms. And again, please give me your feedback as to if this is answering your question. But as you can see in Webull and also in Thinkorswim, these are the primary platforms that I'm watching during the day. You see pivot points. Obviously, I use those heavily to determine support and resistance levels, where particular stock price is relative to those levels. See, I also use the volume weighted average price, the VWAP. You hear a lot of people use the VWAP. So if we zoom in, you'll see the volume weighted average price. So again, usually, ideally, what I want to see is this kind of dip below at a support price. So I'm looking at JEPI just because it's the last one I looked at. So if it had dipped down to a support when it breaks above the VWAP, that would be an ideal entry point from my perspective. Also volume, volume, you want to see is volume increasing, decreasing. If you're seeing a movement on low volume, that may not be significant. If you see spikes in volume, again, volume is a good indicator. An old trader adage is volume precedes price. So often you'll see volume start to ramp up before you see the stock price start to move. I use level 2 in both Webull and Thinkorswim, as an indicator where are potential walls or floors, support, resistance. Again, people will tell you, it can be misleading because people can spoof orders, they can pull orders, etc. It's just another piece of data that I use when trying to determine entry points. Like I mentioned with UVXY, I got in because I saw there was a large order sitting at $6. We were going to the CPI. I didn't want to miss out, again, getting in before that CPI read, so I went a penny above that large order at $6 on the 11th. I also use a couple exponential moving average lines in Thinkorswim. There's another YouTuber, day trader. His name's J Trader. I used to listen to his stuff when I thought maybe I might be interested in more day trading. I've learned that's not really my style, not my primary strategy, but he uses these, he calls them the J lines. I believe I may even have these periods wrong, but I use a 72 and an 89 period exponential moving average in Thinkorswim. I do find that the price tends to follow those pretty accurately. I find in some cases that's better than the VWAP in terms of seeing breakdowns, breakouts. So again, that's another indicator that I use. Also, we use the Shaken Money Flow, 21 period Shaken Money Flow in Thinkorswim. It'll show you is money flowing in or out. And so ideally on an entry point, if I'm seeing it cross the VWAP and I'm seeing money flowing in, again, that would be an ideal case for entry into a swing. I have the stochastic slow on as well, and I've followed some traders in the past that use that as a trigger point. I don't use that as much anymore, but again, it's another piece of data I use in Thinkorswim. So I hope that answers. I don't watch RSI. Alan's asking, do I use RSI? I have in the past watched RSI, but I don't really watch that anymore very much. You'll hear people say, stocks can stay overbought or oversold for quite a while. Again, I know other people use it. We used to watch that a long time ago, and I just didn't find it all that helpful at the time. So there's so many different indicators. I guess what I would recommend, is find what works the best for you based on your actual performance. Also, keep it simple. Find what is the minimal set of indicators that you find best for your trading style. And again, it's going to be different for every trader because your style is going to be different. Your personality, your situation, etc., is going to be different from other traders. So, again, if other people, let's hear put in the comments, what indicators do you use the most and why? Do you find the most helpful and why? You can put them in the comments. You can put them in our Discord. We also have a Facebook group. So whatever social media community forum that you prefer, you can find links to all these again on the link section of our homepage. You can also contact us via any of the social media profiles, via the links on our homepage as well. And again, our homepage is beachbumtrading.com, bum without the U. So, yeah, let us know what you think. What are the best indicators and why for you? Okay, so I'm going to wrap up pretty quick. Again, another thing I'd love your feedback on is if you'd be interested in more information on dividend-paying stocks. Would you all value another spreadsheet like we have for ETFs for dividend-paying stocks? Comparing, we talked about JEPI and JEPQ, and would you like to see a comparison of their dividend payments to other dividend-paying options? So give us your feedback. Also, we've talked about New Year's resolutions early in the year and encouraging people to share and help each other achieve your New Year's resolutions. So we would encourage you to post your New Year's resolutions in our Discord in this topic. We also have a topic in the Facebook group. And again, that we can help each other achieve your New Year's trading resolutions, as well as we want to help you succeed in your trading. So unless anybody has any other questions, we'll wrap up for now. Again, you can always ask further questions in our Discord, in our Facebook group. You can always contact us via social media, via any of those links, etc. So again, we'll try to respond as we are able. Again, our goal is to help you all make money in any market. We believe one of our primary messages is you can make money trading in any kind of market. You can see there's many different ways to make money trading, and again, in any kind of market. So we hope you will share this message and our content with your fellow traders, friends. Share this video. Let's help grow the BeachBum trading community. I think we've got a great community, as you can see in the live chat. Got great BeachBum traders helping each other out, helping each other succeed in their trading, and we want to grow that community for others to again succeed in their trading. So, okay, we hope you have a great long weekend. Enjoy your Martin Luther King Jr. holiday tomorrow, and then we'll see you all in the trading floors on Tuesday on the 17th. So thank you all for joining us in the chat, and have a great rest of your weekend, long weekend, and good luck next week. Bye.